This is written and directed by Jeff Nichols and stars Michael Shannon, Jessica Chastain, Tova Stewart, and Shea Wiggum. The story of Take Shelter is about Michael Shannon's character, who is a construction worker, and he's married to Jessica Chastain, and she stays home to tend to their little girl who is deaf. Michael Shannon's character begins to have these apocalyptic nightmares where people are after him. People he knows that are very close to him are trying to kill him and are trying to get to his family. And he starts to think that it's due to schizophrenia, which his mother was diagnosed with when she was younger. He looks at the symptoms and finds out that he really doesn't qualify for that type of diagnosis, but still thinks something is wrong with him. I had pretty high expectations going into this film based on the trailer. The trailer made it look really good. The story looked really compelling, and sadly, this is one of those films like Detective D where the trailer made it look better than the actual movie, and a lot of films have that problem. One of the biggest problems I had with this movie was the pacing. This film is very slow. You need a lot of patience for this film. This movie is 2 hours, but it feels a lot longer. One of the other problems I had was the main story. The main story is basically around Michael Shannon and how he reacts to these dreams. And whenever he has one of these dreams, the person that was in the dream that was attacking him, he sort of tries to isolate himself from them. And then he begins to rebuild this tornado shelter out back in his backyard based on his vision of this storm coming, and his wife and all the neighbors around him are very suspicious of him and think that he's going crazy. The story then takes a long time showing his development of building the shelter, which isn't a terrible thing, only in the end the shelter really doesn't do much for the story and it proves pretty useless. And in the end you're kind of like, well, that was a waste of time. And there's a secondary story which actually I found a lot more compelling and wish that they'd spent more time on, but they actually do spend quite a bit of time on it. And that's that, the child who's deaf, and Jessica Chastain and Michael Shannon spend time with her, and they're developing her communication skills, showing her how to sign, and they take her to this school, and they're just kind of showing her, how to live through life and stuff, and just showing her all these signs. And that was pretty cool to watch. And the child, Tova Stewart, was excellent in her work. I don't know how old she was, but she was pretty young. But she did a really good job playing a deaf girl, and I'm assuming that she wasn't deaf, so, that's not very easy. So, overall, Take Shelter isn't a terrible film. I just didn't think it was a good film. It's worth renting if you are interested, however, I wouldn't waste my time. This is a pretty forgettable film. This is one of those where I'm not going to remember it later on in the year. I'm going to give this film 2.5 out of 5 stars.